This video is all about beliefs and belief work and what that all means and how to put that all together, the value of all that. Why are beliefs so important? Well, they're kind of everything. They are quite literally the structures of reality. They're everything that we put trust into. Anything that we're trusting in it because we're believing in it. And when we're believing in something, we're almost accepting it as reality, as fact. Why is this important? Well, even think about scientifically, they've already proven that there's an observer effect. If you're believing something is true, then that quite literally becomes your reality. Talk about creating your own reality. At the core of that, what you believe structures that. Without beliefs and without trust, there would be no structures in which to experience reality. I like to say beliefs create the hallways of reality we walk down. And quite often we are not aware of them. There are so many beliefs at play, especially coming into a world that already has beliefs set up, that the easiest thing to do is to just accept them as they are instead of question all of them. We see this, people don't believe something is possible, and then someone does it, and then they break that trend, and then suddenly someone else believes that's possible, and then before you know it, a lot of people have achieved this previously impossible thing. So one thing I like to come back to about beliefs is that if you really think about it, nothing is off the table. And beliefs are different than facts. I think that there's a trend, and there can be a trend or a way of thinking that beliefs and facts are in fact the same thing. But a fact is basically something that is universal and unchangeable. A belief is something that is perspective based. So anything that is perspective based is a belief and is changeable. If it's possible for someone or something to have a different perspective than you on a subject or a situation, then it is belief based. But you think about it, that really encompasses just about everything, which only leaves a few universal facts, which is like attracts like, what you put out is what you get back, change is the only constant, the one is the all is the one. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about beliefs. Can you fathom that in your mind, that everything that has happened in your life, and every experience, and everything that has seemed so real is in fact just based on beliefs and perspective, and therefore is changeable, is malleable, and is changeable, not only now, but in the past. We think of the past as being this concrete thing, but if you change now and your beliefs change now, then the past also changes as well. And that's a whole other conversation about timelines and multiple realities and the multiverse and all that. Why is it really important and why is it so valuable to think about these kind of things and contemplate these things? Well, I think when we start to understand them, then we begin to question and unearth the places in our lives and in reality where we actually have control over our experience, or we can be decisive in our experience. And so the classic metaphor of glass half full or glass half empty is so indicative of that. We almost would say the glass half full is getting fuller and the glass half empty is getting more empty. And this is another principle why this is so important, because reality tends to trend. It tends to trend in whichever direction we're focused in. When it rains, it really rains. It's like when it rains, it really pours. Or when the better it gets, the better it gets. When it comes to beliefs, this is so important to recognize. How do we find out our part in all this? Well, you have to think about the fact that literally everything you're coming in contact with is based on a series of belief systems from your past, because reality tends to manifest in a way that is not instant. There's like a delayed reaction based on your beliefs and your thoughts within those beliefs. Then, after a certain time period, that reality crystallizes and shows up, and you get to live it. Your physical avatar gets to live it. How do you find out what you believe? Look at what you're experiencing, and that will tell you what you used to believe. And if you want to change that, I think that the best way to change that is you have to really understand it, what you believe. Not just what you believe about reality, but what you believe about yourself and your part in it. And that's really the biggest thing. Is they say reality is a mirror. Reality is a mirror. And so we spend all this effort trying to change the mirror when it's really an inside job. It's an inside job, and that's why changing or looking at and understanding, that's why looking at and understanding what we believe about ourselves is true is fundamentally the most powerful thing that we can do to have creative control over our experience, over our reality, both internal and therefore external, both how we show up and how the world treats us and the experiences we have and how we view those experiences. When we view everything as negative, everything is negative. When we view things as positive, everything is an opportunity to learn from. That being said, I'm going to come back to the point of there are many beliefs that we have that are subconscious. And what does that mean? Subconscious just means we are not consciously aware. They are playing themselves out, and we have just accepted them, and we have unknowingly turned a blind eye to them. It's when a belief is subconscious, it's basically a way of saying you don't know you have a choice whether or not to choose that and keep choosing that or not. And so how do we unearth subconscious beliefs? There's really two ways. One is you look at what's manifesting in your life and what's trending. And the best way to work with these things is it can be on a subject. We can work on a specific subject, but even more than that is looking at common threads between different events happening in your life, different subjects happening in your life. And the challenge is the reason, also another reason you're subconscious is because we're living inside of them. We're living inside of them, and it can be a bit of it can be difficult to change your perspective or gain a new perspective and see something that you've already been living inside of. But this is really the game of discovery and unearthing these things. Once we're able to do that, maybe we find a common thread of something happening in our lives, and we really want to trace it back to what would I have to believe is true about me? What would I have to believe is true about myself to feel this way or have all these things happen or to show up this way or to perceive my reality this way or to act this way, all these things. And so it's almost like there's these different tiers. This is the symptom, and most people just want to talk about the symptom, but you need to go below the symptom. I have this symptom, and this symptom. What's the common thread between these three things? People aren't treating me well. Why would people not be treating me well? And I accept that maybe my brain doesn't think this, but there's some other part of me that might knowingly be holding the belief that I'm not worthy of being treated well. Oh, boom, under that. Is there some part of me that believes I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy? The thing is, when you trace these things down, it's almost like an upside down pyramid, and it usually ends up being something very, very simple. But often it can be difficult to go straight to the very simple point. We need to look at all the evidence and then trace it back and back and back. And when we do this, it always correlates with a point in the body. And so, like I was saying before, the brain can think one thing. This is often why affirmations won't work, because your brain will be saying like, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. But if the center of your heart or the center of your stomach is saying something else and you're not knowing that, you're still broadcasting the signal and the frequency in opposition to whatever you're saying. The words don't matter. It's the vibration that matters. And so essentially what you want to do is find where these beliefs are stored in your body and really see them at the core, get to the center of the onion and speak to them and acknowledge them. And when we acknowledge them and we don't try to push them away, when we're pushing them away, we're basically invalidating something and we're resisting it. And what resists gets amplified and persists, continues in our lives. We're able to see it and accept it as being a valid experience within all the experiences that exist. That doesn't mean that we're choosing it forever, actually quite the opposite. Once we get to that neutral point, then we basically can make a decision and we can decide whether we want to continue to believe that or not. And that is really where the true alchemy comes from. Is one, we have to see it and recognize it. Two, we have to acknowledge that it's valid and it's happening, to bring it to a neutral place. And in doing that, we're not fearful of it anymore, so it's not controlling us. And then three, we need to decide. You need to take your willful power as a creator to change that within you. And once you change it within you, now you have a new subconscious program running. This is something that I do with clients. I do belief work with clients, and this really has been the most effective thing I've seen in myself and others to create fundamental and really like root, like core change. When you get really good at this and you're able to find these kind of things and do this process correctly, sometimes you don't even have to go subject by subject. You can create core change within you on a plethora of subjects all at the same time. And so it's really like, if you've, every time you came to a fork in the road and you were taking you rights your whole life, you're giving yourself permission to take a left, except that taking a left won't seem weird. It will now seem like the normal thing to do. And so the effect of this kind of work stacks. It stacks over time. This is a big part of the reason why belief work is so powerful. And the more we do this, the more we go through the cycle, the better we get at identifying these things. And another effect that I've noticed too is that it really expands our confidence to meet challenge, and our confidence to move into the unknown, because we know that there literally is nothing that can come, or there's nothing that can happen or manifest in our lives that isn't a product of belief. Therefore, everything forever is solvable. Maybe not instantly, but through process. Everything is solvable. So there's nothing that can come that will permanently make us feel like we're stuck, or this can really expand our bubble of peace and our willingness to actually go for the things we really want to be doing in life, to meet fear in a really different way. It can really fundamentally change everything about us, and the effects are long lasting, and like I said, they stack. This is why it's so important to do belief work, and what you believe matters so much. It's everything. It's literally everything. Peace and love and blessings.